6 months ago, I prepared to save my daughter with a kidney transplant, only to discover the real patient was my husband's son with his first love. It turned out that this was a scheme set up by my husband, Daniel Powell, to deceive me into donating a kidney. His first love, Edith White, was also a participant in this deception. I was the only one kept in the dark. At that moment, my 10-year marriage and familial bonds collapsed, leaving only coldness and despair. I threw a divorce agreement at Daniel, and I also gave up custody of my daughter Evelyn. I was wrong to deceive you, but do you really have to ask for a divorce? Daniel frowned. I just wanted you to donate a kidney. You won't die from losing one, but if Andy doesn't get a good kidney, he won't live much longer. I closed my eyes and pushed the divorce agreement back to Daniel. Sign it. Cynthia, you have been a housewife for 10 years and can't stand on your own anymore. I have supported you all these years. You wouldn't survive without me. Daniel shook his head helplessly. Stop being unreasonable. Go with me to the hospital tomorrow for the kidney donation surgery. Don't worry, I won't look down on you for being somewhat disabled. I will still send you money every month and take care of you. On what grounds do you ask for a divorce? You are just a nanny living off my dad's support in my house. Evelyn shouted angrily at me. You only lose a kidney, but Andy could lose his life. I stared at her blankly, unable to believe that the obedient Evelyn would say such things. Women like you with a changed figure, average looks, and no abilities, which man would want you after you leave dad? Even a homeless man on the street wouldn't look at you. Evelyn looked at me with disdain, holding a mirror up to my face. Look at yourself. You look like a pig, fat and ugly. Donating a kidney to Edith's son is an honor for you. Don't be ungrateful. In the mirror, I saw a haggard and aged face, completely different from the person I had been 10 years ago. Oh, are you going to say it again? Was it because you gave birth to me and were exhausted while taking care of me, which caused you to take medicine for years and end up with a plump figure? Evelyn rolled her eyes. Please stop blaming me for your laziness and lack of self-discipline. Edith also had a child. Why is she so slim? I recalled how every time there was a parent-teacher meeting in Evelyn's class, she wouldn't allow me to attend. I thought it was because she cared about my weak health and that I couldn't handle the noise. It turned out I was overly sentimental. She actually despised me for the shame I would bring her. The family I thought was happy and complete had already crumbled. Sign it or we will meet in court. I sighed wearily. Trying to use a divorce to threaten dad? You really have no self-awareness. Evelyn shrugged, looking disdainful. Daniel said helplessly, do you really want to keep making a scene? Fine, do as you wish, but remember to go to the hospital for the surgery tomorrow. Otherwise, you won't have living expenses next month. Also, since Edith can't stand hospital food, you will prepare healthy meals for her. After all, you do nothing but cook and do laundry every day. Making one more person's meal should be no problem for you. We had agreed to have a celebration dinner with Edith today. Meeting you is just bad luck. Evelyn glanced at me before turning her face away in disgust. Let's go out to eat later. Acting like a good daughter for this old woman has been so disgusting. Listening to Evelyn, it seemed that she and Edith were the real family, while I was merely an unforgivable nanny. That night, I packed my bags and left the villa. On the night I left home, I joined a recruiting group and quickly found a tutoring job paid by the hour. The next day at 8, I had a trial lesson, and both the parent and child were satisfied with me, so we signed a 6-month contract. After leaving my employer's house, I turned on my phone, which had been on silent, and saw more than 99 missed calls from Daniel. I couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. I thought that after being married to him for 10 years, he would be worried about me not coming home for one night. I called him back, but before I could say anything, Daniel started yelling at me. So you're playing the runaway game now, huh? Today is Andy's kidney transplant day. You need to hurry to the hospital, or I will freeze all your cards immediately. Then you can go live on the streets. Evelyn's angry voice also came through the phone. You better come back and serve me and dad. Know your place. My anticipation plummeted. I understand. Then hurry back. Daniel's tone softened a bit. I sneered. I only just understood that neither of you ever considered me family. Daniel, I am not obligated to donate organs for your first love son. When we got married, I meant to be your wife, not your slave. You need to sign the divorce agreement, and the custody of Evelyn will go to you. Otherwise, I will file for divorce. I hung up the phone and blocked Daniel's number. Oh, just half an hour later, Daniel froze all my bank cards and sent me a message from a new number. Do you know how difficult it is to be out of money? If you come back now, I will forgive you. The house is a mess. No one has cleaned it. I would absolutely never go back to that home. I got a new phone number and used the little money I had left to share rent on a small apartment far from the city center. I commuted 4 hours every day, started my tutoring job, and began to work hard to regain the professional knowledge I had previously abandoned. 2 days later, just as I arrived at my employer's community, I was blocked at the door by Evelyn and Daniel. I heard you were tutoring here. Daniel frowned. If this gets out, I'll lose face. You better hurry up and quit this job and come back to take care of me and Evelyn. That is the meaning of your life. I didn't want to listen to his nonsense and simply asked coldly, have you signed the divorce agreement? Don't dream about it. Aren't you done causing enough trouble? Daniel was very impatient. You neglect your own child and go tutor another kid. Evelyn hasn't had anyone to help her with her studies for a whole week. She has fallen behind. The kid who got first place in the weekly test is a guy named Matthew. I only ranked 36. I have never placed out of the top 3, and now my classmates are laughing at me. Evelyn glared at me, full of resentment. It's all your fault. I will never forgive you. I chuckled silently. What did I need her forgiveness for? Could it be used as money? Besides, this was not my fault in the first place. However, Matthew Luis was indeed the child I was tutoring. I knew my work was effective, and in that moment, a sense of pride and satisfaction welled up within me. Seeing that I remained unmoved, Daniel suddenly softened his voice. He took out 2 designer bags and a set of jewelry from the car. Look, do you like them? Be good. Don't be angry with me, and come back with me. I didn't say anything. Daniel fell silent for a few seconds. Andy's situation worsened these days, and Edith cried every day. It really hurt me to see it. See, you are also a mother. How can you bear to see Edith lose her child? Please help her. It's just donating a kidney. I finally understood why Daniel was speaking so nicely all of a sudden. It was for his first love. Edith had left him because she found him poor. I had put all my savings into supporting him, spending 10 years of my youth working hard alongside him. I thought Daniel loved me as deeply as I loved him, but he only had Edith in his heart. So when Edith turned back to him, he simply let the past go. Meanwhile, I lost without even fighting. At that moment, looking at Daniel, I felt a wave of nausea rise in my heart. I didn't look at those 2 again and turned to leave quickly. 2 days later, Matthew's parents got sick, and they asked me to pick up Matthew after school and take him to the hospital. At the school gate, I ran into Evelyn, who was getting out of school, along with Edith, who came to pick her up. Evelyn's classmates saw me and said, "Evelyn, your nanny is here to pick you up again." It turned out that she introduced me like this to others. The children looked at Edith and enviously said, "Wow, your mom is so beautiful." Evelyn proudly lifted her head and disdainfully glanced at me. "My mom is obviously the best." Edith also took a proud glance at me and mouthed, "You are such a failure. Even Evelyn looks down on you and doesn't recognize you." At that moment, Matthew came out of the school. He smiled and rushed into my arms, saying, "See, thank you for picking me up." He opened his backpack to show me the empty container inside. "The cookies you made were so delicious. My classmates praised them and ate them all. You are great at teaching and cooking delicious food. And you are gentle. Now they all envy me for having a tutor like you." I smiled and patted his head. Just as I was about to leave, a sudden scream of terror erupted from the crowd around us. I focused my eyes and found someone with a knife attacking people indiscriminately at the school gate. "Help! There's a murderer." I quickly picked up Matthew and ran toward a safe place. Behind me, Evelyn was crying out, "Edith, help me." When I turned to look, I saw she had fallen to the ground, and the attacker was closing in on her. But Edith completely ignored her, and had already run away to save herself. Evelyn shouted at me again, "Fat woman, come back and save me. If you save me, I will forgive you." I ignored her and continued running toward a safe place with Matthew in my arms.